So here's the challenge. Stop sitting. Start shooting. Stop overthinking. Stop waiting for perfect. Perfect never shows up. Opportunity shows up when you're working, when you're sweating, when you're bold enough to say, if I fall, but I'm going to fall forward. You want to win? You want to level up? Then you better step into the game and shoot your shot like your life depends on it, 'cause it does. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. But take enough. Shots you won't miss forever. Your next shot could change everything. That's the truth that most people overlook when they're standing in front of fear, failure, or frustration. After a few missed attempts, it's easy to start believing that the next shot won't matter. It's easy to let doubt creep in and convince you that trying again is pointless. But what if the very next time you decide to show up, take a risk, speak up, apply, start, build, or launch? That's the moment where everything shifts. You won't know unless you take it. And if you don't, you miss it by default. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And the worst part is, you never get to see how close you were. Maybe the opportunity you've been praying for, working for, dreaming about, is just one more shot away. But if you stop now, you'll never know. That's why quitting is so dangerous. It cuts off possibility. It buries potential. It says, what I've seen is all there is. When in reality, what's ahead might be the breakthrough you've been waiting for. All it takes is one shot to change your story. People look at success like it's this massive, sudden explosion. But most of the time, it's one shot after another, after another, after another. And then boom, the one that lands makes it all worth it. The business idea that finally takes off. The song that finally goes viral. The audition that gets the call back. The email that opens the door. The conversation that leads to the opportunity. You never know which one it'll be. But if you don't keep shooting, you'll never find out. Most people give up too early. They stop after the 5th try, not knowing the 6th would have been the one. They let frustration win. They let the sting of rejection convince them it's not worth it. But rejection isn't the end. It's redirection. It's showing you where to aim next. The more you shoot, the more you learn. The more you learn, the better your aim. And the better your aim, the more powerful each shot becomes. The game isn't about perfection, it's about persistence. Nobody's expecting you to hit the mark every time. What matters is that you keep stepping up, you keep showing up, you keep releasing what's inside you into the world. That next shot could be the one that connects. And it doesn't just change your life, it can change the lives of others too. Your courage to keep going might inspire someone else to keep going. Your breakthrough might be the light someone else needs to find their own. But none of that happens if you stop. If you decide it's not worth the effort, if you convince yourself you're not ready, if you talk yourself out of trying, then you forfeit the win before the game's even over. You let fear and fatigue rob you of what could have been. And, later, all you're left with is wondering what could have happened if you just tried one more time, one more call, one more message, one more step. That kind of regret stays with you. The power of one more shot is real. Ask anyone who's made it, and they'll tell you. There was a moment when they almost walked away. A moment where everything told them it was over. But they took one more chance, and that one choice shifted everything. That's the shot you need to keep your eyes on. Not the ones you missed. Not the ones that didn't land, but the one that's still ahead. The one that's waiting on your courage to step up again. Even if the last one didn't go the way you hoped. Even if it hurt. Even if you're tired. Breathe, reset, and shoot again. Because as long as you're still moving, you're still in the game. And if you're still in the game, the next shot always has a chance to be the one. Maybe it won't happen the way you expect. Maybe the path will twist. But progress doesn't always look like success right away. Sometimes it looks like resilience. Sometimes it looks like showing up when it would be easier to walk away. That's what separates those who dream from those who do, the willingness to try again. The belief that the next move might be the move. The trust that even after failure, the next step could lead to favor. Your next shot could open the door, start the fire, spark the connection, launch the vision, and turn everything around. But only if you take it. Only if you rise, even with shaking hands, and aim one more time. Missing is part of winning. Keep shooting. That's the mindset you need if you're serious about success. Too many people give up after the first miss. They shoot once, it doesn't go in, and they say, maybe this isn't for me. But the truth is, nobody who ever achieved anything great did it without missing a few shots along the way. Missing is not failure, it's feedback. It's part of the process. It's the training ground for greatness. Every miss teaches you something. Every miss sharpens your aim, strengthens your focus, and builds your resilience. You can't win without it. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take, but here's what people forget. You'll also miss a lot of the shots you do take. And that's okay. That's expected. That's necessary. Because the winners aren't the ones who shoot perfectly. They're the ones who shoot consistently. They keep firing. They don't quit after one bad game, one bad pitch, one bad launch. They regroup, refocus, and try again. Because they understand that success doesn't come from avoiding failure. It comes from pushing through it. Think about a basketball player. The best in the game don't make every shot. In fact, they miss a lot. But they shoot with confidence, over and over again because they trust their work, their training, and their mission. They know that missing is just part of the rhythm. It doesn't define them, it refines them. The same is true for you. That job you didn't get, that idea that didn't take off, that moment you fell short, none of those define you. They prepare you. They build the version of you that can handle the win when it finally comes. Most people don't shoot enough to succeed. They're too worried about looking foolish, too focused on being perfect, too afraid of getting it wrong. So they wait. They overthink. They plan, but never execute. They miss out entirely because they didn't even try. But those who win understand the game. They understand that every miss brings them one step closer to the shot that lands. They're not afraid of being wrong. They're afraid of standing still. You can't win if you don't play. And playing the game means you're going to miss sometimes. But that miss, that rejection, that setback, that failure, it's not the end, it's information. It tells you where to adjust, where to grow, where to aim next. It teaches you more than any success ever could. Success feels good, but failure builds you. It builds hunger, it builds grit, it builds the kind of determination that separates the ones who make it from the ones who only talk about it. Missing also builds trust, not just in your ability, but in your character. When you keep showing up after disappointment, when you keep shooting after being told no, when you stay in the game even when it feels like everything is against you, that's how you earn your own respect. That's how you prove to yourself that you're not just chasing a dream, you're committed to it. And commitment isn't about doing it when it's easy. It's about doing it when it's hard, when it's frustrating, when it hurts. That's when counts. So you missed. So what? Shoot again. You stumbled? Get up and shoot again. The deal didn't close. The plan didn't work. The door didn't open. That doesn't mean it's over. That means you're in the middle of the process. That means you're still fighting. And the fact that you're still shooting means you still have a shot. The only people who truly fail are the ones who stop trying. The road to winning is paved with losses. Nobody gets to the top without falling on their face a few times. The difference is, they don't stay down. They don't let a miss break their spirit. They keep their eyes on the target and take another swing, another step, another shot. Because they know, eventually it lands. Eventually the breakthrough comes. But only if they stay in motion. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. But missing is part of the game when you're actually playing. And if you keep showing up, keep learning, keep refining, those misses start turning into makes. That's how you win. Not by being perfect, but by being relentless, by showing up again and again no matter how many times it takes. Keep shooting. Fear will keep you stuck. Faith pushes you to act. That's the truth most people ignore when they find themselves standing on the edge of something greater. They feel that pull to do more, to be more, to step into something that stretches them. But right alongside that pull comes fear. The fear of the unknown, the fear of failure, the fear of judgment, the fear of not being good enough. And instead of moving forward, they freeze. They convince themselves that maybe now's not the right time. Maybe they need to prepare more. Maybe they're just not ready. But deep down, they're not waiting. They're hiding. They're letting fear keep them stuck. Every time you hesitate because of fear, you rob yourself of progress. You miss out on the shot you could have taken. And the worst part is, you'll never know what that shot might have brought. It might have been the opportunity that changed everything. It might have opened doors you didn't even know existed. But because fear whispered in your ear and told you it was safer to stay put, you missed it. You gave your power away. And it's not because you weren't capable. It's because you didn't act. That's what fear does. It paralyzes you. It makes the possibility of failure feel bigger than the promise of success. It keeps you small, and the longer you let it control you, the stronger it gets. It starts to sound like logic. It starts to sound like reason. It tells you, play it safe. Wait a little longer, don't risk it. But the truth is, fear has no interest in your growth. It just wants you to survive. And surviving isn't the same as living. Faith, on the other hand, doesn't need all the answers. Faith doesn't require the whole path to be clear. Faith says, take the step anyway. Faith believes in what could be, even if you can't see it yet. Faith pushes you to act, not because it's easy, but because it's worth it. And the moment you choose faith over fear, you unlock something inside you. You tap into potential you didn't even know you had. You step out of the shadows and into the fight. And suddenly, you're no longer a bystander in your own life. You become a player. You take the shot. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take, but fear will convince you to miss them all. It will keep you on the sidelines, watching others chase their goals while you talk yourself out of yours. It'll keep you asking what if, but never doing anything to find out. And you'll wake up one day with regret, not because you tried and failed, but because you never gave yourself the chance to even try. Faith is the opposite of that. Faith says, even if I miss, I'm still growing. Faith says, even if I fall, I'm getting stronger. Faith gives you permission to take the shot, even if the odds feel stacked against you. And every time you act in faith, you build confidence, you build momentum. You start to trust yourself more. And little by little, those small steps forward turn into major breakthroughs. Don't get it twisted. Faith doesn't mean you won't be afraid. It just means you won't let fear make your decisions. It means you feel the fear and still choose to move. That's real courage. That's what separates the people who live with purpose from the people who live with regret. Because people of faith don't wait for certainty. They create it through action. Every time you choose fear, you choose delay. You choose to put your dreams on hold for a feeling that was never meant to lead you. But every time you choose faith, you move forward. You take control. You say, this is my life, and I refuse to let fear write my story. You take the shot, not because you know you'll make it, but because you know you'll never make it if you don't. The people you see winning, they're not fearless. They just got tired of letting fear win. They chose to act. They chose faith. And because they did, they gave themselves a shot at success, a shot at growth, a shot at becoming who they were created to be. And that shot, that's everything. Because without it, all you have is potential. All you have is a dream that stays a dream. So if fear is telling you to wait, to hold back, to play small, recognize it for what it is, a thief. And the only way to take back what it's stolen is to move in faith. Even if your voice shakes, even if your knees tremble, take the shot. You owe it to yourself. Safe is the most dangerous place to be. It sounds backwards, doesn't it? We're taught our whole lives to seek safety, to stay in line, follow the rules, keep it comfortable. But that mindset, it's a trap. Because while you're staying safe, life is moving forward. Opportunities are passing, and you're stuck in the same spot, wondering why nothing ever changes. You think you're avoiding danger, but what you're really doing is avoiding growth. You're dodging discomfort at the cost of your dreams. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take, and most people don't take the shot because they think it's safer not to. They don't apply for that position because, what if I'm not qualified? They don't pitch that idea because, what if they laugh at me? They don't pursue their passion because, what if I fail? But they never stop to ask the scarier question. What if I stay right here and nothing ever changes? What if this safe zone is actually where dreams die quietly? Comfort is a silent killer. It doesn't scream, it doesn't crash, it doesn't explode. It slowly drains your potential until one day you wake up and realize you've settled. You've built a life around fear dressed up as logic. You've created a reality where average feels acceptable, where routine becomes a prison, and where ambition fades into the background. All because you thought safe was smart. But the truth is, safe doesn't get you the life you want. It doesn't build empires, it doesn't write books, start businesses, change lives, or leave legacies. Safe builds cages. And the longer you stay in that cage, the more you forget you ever had wings to begin with. You stop thinking big. You stop believing more is possible. And that's when it gets truly dangerous. When you stop dreaming. The people you admire, the ones doing big things, they didn't play it safe. They took risks. They stepped out when everything inside them screamed, stay comfortable. They knew the danger of not going after it was greater than the danger of failing. Because failure teaches, it sharpens, it builds resilience. But playing it safe? That just keeps you soft, it keeps you untested, and it keeps you invisible. Nobody remembers the one who played it safe. They remember the one who went for it. Even if they fell, even if they stumbled, they had the guts to go. They had the heart to shoot their shot. And because of that, they gave themselves a chance. That's the power in moving forward despite fear. Because when you do, you stop being a prisoner of what if, and you start becoming the person you were built to be. Most people aren't living. They're just surviving. They're going through the motions, doing what's expected, keeping their heads down. But deep down, there's a fire, a vision, a version of themselves they haven't even scratched the surface of. And the only thing standing between where they are and where they want to be is the choice to take the shot. To step out of the illusion of safety and into the reality of purpose. If you wait for the perfect moment, it's never coming. If you wait to feel ready, you never will. Safe will always feel more comfortable in the moment, but growth never happens in comfort. Growth happens in pressure, in motion, in trying, in doing. You can't think your way into greatness. You have to act. You have to take a chance. And yes, it might not work out the first time. You might fall. You might get hurt. But that's part of the process. That's how you learn. That's how you build the strength to rise again. Safe is the most dangerous place to be because it disguises itself as wisdom. It tells you you're being smart, it tells you to be cautious. But what it's really doing is feeding your fear, keeping you frozen. And frozen dreams don't live. They die slow deaths in silence and regret. So if you're waiting for a sign, this is it. Stop choosing safety. Start choosing courage. Take the shot. Not because it's guaranteed to work, but because it's the only way anything can work. The risk of staying stuck is far greater than the risk of stepping forward. Because when you stay safe, you don't just miss the shot. You miss the game entirely. Not trying is already failing. Most people walk around every day thinking they're playing it smart by not taking risks. They believe that by staying in their comfort zones, by not stepping out and going for something bigger, they're avoiding failure. But the truth is, in doing nothing, they're doing the worst thing possible. They're choosing failure without even realizing it. When you don't take the shot, you don't give yourself the chance to win. You miss by default. You're not in the game. You're not on the scoreboard, and you're not even in the arena. And the worst part? You did that to yourself. You see, the idea that you can coast through life without taking risks and still get to where you dream of being, it's a lie. Every goal, every dream, every breakthrough exists on the other side of fear, the other side of risk, the other side of action. When you decide not to act, you're choosing to remain the same. And the moment you choose to stay the same, you've already lost the opportunity to grow. Growth doesn't come from thinking about what you could do. It comes from doing, from trying, from stepping into the unknown and trusting that even if you fall, you'll learn how to rise. There are people with less talent than you, less education than you, fewer resources than you, but they're ahead. Why? Because they took the shot. They had the courage to try. And that's what separates people who win from people who wish. They take action. You might say, what if I fail? But the real question is, what if you don't try? Because not trying guarantees failure. At least if you try and miss, you gain wisdom. You gain experience. You get stronger, smarter, sharper. You get one step closer to success. But if you don't try, you stay stuck with nothing but regret. Regret hits harder than failure ever will. Failure teaches. Regret haunts. And it shows up later in life when the window of opportunity is no longer open. When the time you could have used to grow, to learn, to build something is gone. And all you have left is the memory of the moment you could have gone for it, but didn't. That's the kind of pain you carry for years. That's the kind of weight that builds when you realize you weren't held back by the world, or your situation, or your background. You were held back by you. Opportunities don't wait forever. Doors don't stay open forever. Some chances only come once. And if you don't move, if you don't speak up, if you don't apply, if you don't act, someone else will. That idea you had, someone else is building it. That dream you were too scared to pursue, someone else is living it. Because they didn't let fear stop them. They didn't freeze. They shot their shot, and it's not even about always hitting the target. It's about having the courage to line up and shoot. Every shot you take builds your character. It sharpens your skills. It prepares you for the next one. And eventually you start to hit. You start to win. But none of that happens if you never lift your hand and take the chance. People say they're waiting for the right moment, but the right moment is a myth. The right moment is created by the one who steps up when it's uncomfortable, when it's risky, when the outcome is uncertain, but they go anyway. That's when transformation happens. That's when you rise above the average. Because average people wait, great people act. They don't wait to be perfect. They don't wait to be ready. They move, they try, they shoot. Every time you talk yourself out of taking action, you reinforce the lie that you can't. And over time, that lie becomes a belief. That belief becomes your identity. And your identity shapes your reality. That's why it's so dangerous to play small. Because it doesn't just cost you success, it costs you you. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take, but not trying at all. That's choosing to lose. That's giving up before the game even starts. That's living life from the bench when you were born to be on the court. And the only way to change, that is to try, to take the shot, to step up. Because even a missed shot moves you forward, but staying still, that keeps you exactly where you are. Always wondering what could have been. Listen to me real quick. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. That's not just a quote, that's real life. That's truth. That's your future on the line. And some of y'all out here, you ain't even in the game. You sitting on the sidelines, scared to shoot, scared to fail, scared to be seen trying. But let me break it to you. Not trying